The four pillars of any MMO are usually referred to as combat, progression, exploration, and story. But I feel like there's one aspect of an MMO that touches on all four pillars at once. Generally, when I play an MMO, and I play a lot of MMOs, you want to feel that your combat is weighty and your abilities have impact on combat. You want to feel like the world's alive and interested and pretty and something you actually want to explore and like taken back by. Even though I'm generally not the biggest story nerd, I still love a good story, especially when it takes you by surprise. And out of anything, having a satisfying gameplay loop is probably the most important. Having some sort of progression that makes you feel like you're going towards something, or once you're there, that you've gone through this progression, that you've noticed the change and felt the difference. I believe there's one part of an MMO that touches on all four pillars very clearly: cosmetics. Whether your character looks and feels the way you want them to, or immerses you within the world, can determine whether you actually enjoy playing the game or not. I've played some MMOs where I just want to love the game, want to love my character, but I just don't have that look and feel that makes me excited to play them and want to continue on into this world. Now in this video, I want to give you the case of why I think Guild Wars has got one of the best cosmetic progression systems in the entire game that makes every single class feel completely unique, completely different, and also helps you get into the game, enjoy it more, find a style that suits you, and highlights the strengths and weaknesses of your class itself. Now before we truly get into it, I just wanted to point out a few things. I love every MMO, and I've played almost every MMO. In World of Warcraft, I got above the curve for Sanctum of Domination and whatever Razagath was. I've played every expansion except for Mists of Pandaria. Final Fantasy XIV, I played all the way to the end of Shadowbringers at the time, did some Savage raiding, absolutely loved it. Black Desert Online, I played from the initial launch of the Middle Eastern Turkish server, and was in the top 10 PvP guild. I played to the end of Lost Ark on launch. I've played New World, as you can see in some of the footage. My watermark isn't capped, but I'm fairly high up. On Classic, I got myself 3D in full max when that was the end game. Elder Scrolls Online did some of their trials, which is kind of their version of raiding. Really enjoyed it. Star Wars The Old Republic, I played towards the end. Didn't really do any raiding, but did some of the hard strike missions and such. And for Guild Wars 2, I've done every single raid and every Fractured One challenge mode except for Harvest Temple. And there are a lot more MMOs I haven't mentioned and probably still have played. The point of the story is I play all the MMOs, and I don't play just the initial bits, the entry level, the new player experience. I play generally till endgame and do endgame content in the raiding scene or in the 5-man scene. And so I feel like I have a lot of a good picture of how these MMOs work and how MMOs in general work. Let's have a look at some of the other systems. In World of Warcraft, they keep a collections just like in Guild Wars, and you equip the things and you pay a gold price. And this system seems very good at face value. It's called Transmog for World of Warcraft, but I like to call it coded paint, because basically you're just painting the item to look like another item. And it seemed like a good system at first, until you think about the fact of there's a couple of things. Number one, you can't change the dye color. You have to unlock that color version. So yeah, you'll have boots that are brown and the same boots that are blue, which is kind of a bit of a silly system if you think about it in long term. As well, every time paying gold price, as you get new items, you have to keep coming back and paying quite a high gold price to upgrade or change your cosmetics. That's basically World of Warcraft's system. And then you get a game like Lord of the Rings Online or Final Fantasy XIV, where instead of painting over a specific item, you have basically outfit cosmetic slots that you use, that you can equip whatever you want into them, and therefore basically have the same outfit on. So no matter if my gear changes, I will look the same. Generally, also what this allows you to do is have a wardrobe option where you can store a couple of items that you get from landscape or some ones from raids. And so basically you always have access to these, and then you can basically throw them into your cosmetic slots or get some things off of landscape to basically change your outfit so that you stay the same. I know Final Fantasy XIV kind of works on a hybrid where you do paint over the item, but it's also with cosmetic slots. And then for New World, the way this works is you basically paint either skin over the skin that you have, or if you want to use some sort of dye system, you can only dye the actual piece of armor. But at least it gives you a couple of choices in terms of where you want the dye to actually land, which is kind of good. I'm not going to go into Black Desert Online's cosmetic system, as it is literally bottom of the barrel where your cosmetics affect your actual combat stats or luck or whatever, and that's just pure trash. Let's have a look at why I think Guild Wars 2 has got the best cosmetic system out of all. Now we need to ask ourselves, what system did Guild Wars 2 go with? The short answer is, they went with both. First of all, you have a wardrobe. The wardrobe keeps storage of any item that is ever dropped or any item that you have purchased out of the gem store. These items you can equip and put as your set of armor, like coats of paint, at any point that you want. These items will automatically be stored, and therefore you do not require extra storage or have to stress about keeping them in some sort of a vault. The only downside to this is with ascended armor pieces or lower in tier, so i.e. not legendary armor, if you do change their cosmetic, i.e. paint over them, you will require one transmutation shot. But this isn't actually such a high cost. Let me explain. This is no problem because general map completion for any city will give you one transmutation shot and can be done on every single character. Therefore, you can also just create characters to rinse and repeat to get as many as you want. As well, if you're into World v World, the skirmish chest will also contain one per box, which is quite decent. The other system that Guild Wars 2 put in place are actual outfits. These are mostly locked to the gem store, although occasionally given away for free. And also they have a chance to drop out of certain landscape drops. These are basically overpastes. You can only have an active or deactive. It completely changes your cosmetic to match whatever you have. These can be dyed, just like the other pieces in the wardrobe, and we'll get into that next. This is also another great way to get certain aesthetics and feels. But I'd have to say the actual dyeing in Guild Wars 2 is probably one of the best systems. Every dye that is ever dropped for you is instantly unlocked, i.e. you don't need one dye per item. The dyeing cosmetic can absolutely change the aesthetic of different pieces of armor and give you a different feel completely. As well, dyeing doesn't cost anything to do and can be done on landscape wherever you want to. All cosmetic changes can be done actually wherever you want to on landscape, as long as you have transmutation charges for the change. But you can switch your outfits in and out and on and off whenever you want to, giving you whatever feel you want for your character. With that being said, Guild Wars 2 also allows you to dye or use different skin effects for your gliders, as well as mounts. Because mounts are kind of locked in place, sometimes you'll just have different effects, different feelings for different mounts. But you may be looking at all of this and just think to yourself, my word, this seems pay to win. Look at all of these things locked behind the gen store, all these boat skins and really awesome mount skins. This is kind of silly. Sometimes they might go on special. But the reason why I've never considered Guild Wars 2 to be a pay for convenience game, because there's definitely no pay to win, is for one simple reason. The gem store itself has a trade, which means you can trade in-game gold for gems. This means that if you just play the game generally and make gold, you can trade it for gems and buy whatever cosmetic you want, or any extra inventory space, bag space, or the like. This makes Guild Wars 2 kind of one of those games where if you want to pay for it and get it quicker, you can do it. Or if you're just playing the game and notice that something comes on sale that you want and you want it, you can get it because it doesn't really cost you anything. And now for something that isn't just cosmetic, a lot of MMOs will have a way to micro change your character, change hair color, hairstyle, maybe some slight differences, where Guild Wars has almost a complete reset with a total makeover kit. Yes, this is a gem store item, but you can find them in landscape, and every now and then they do give them away for free. I don't think that this is necessarily the worst thing in the world, and also gives your character a completely new feeling, as you can redo absolutely everything. You can even change the sex of your character, everything, hairstyles, hair color, everything. There's also a few exclusives that can only be obtained when using this item. Even though this item might maybe feel a bit pay to win to some people, I don't necessarily feel that way, as you can get it for free on Landscape and you can convert gold to gems if you really want to redo your character. This is fairly decent for you, especially if you want to change your elite specialization and want to change the complete feel of your character. The only thing you can't change is your actual race. At the beginning of the video, I likened Guild Wars' cosmetic system to the 4 design pillars of MMOs. In terms of combat, the better you look, the more DPS you do, and that's just scientific facts. Progression, so woven into the actual gameplay, without even realizing it. You're aiming towards legendary armor, maybe. And the idea of when you get legendary armor, you don't even need transmutation charges anymore. Inevitably links progression to cosmetics within the game. Exploration, all of your cosmetics that you're unlocking, going around the world, exploring maps, going for map completions to unlock as many different cosmetic styles as possible, doing things you wouldn't necessarily even think of doing, like PvP or raiding, just to get pieces to complete whatever look you're going for. And story. There's been so many MMOs that I've played that I just want to love. I want to be into my character, I want to feel like I want to come back and play it. But I just can't. And the simple fact is, I'm just not that into my character. My character doesn't have the look or the story or the feel of what I'm looking for. With Guild Wars 2, it's so easy to get the correct look to a character to enhance your story feel, to actually make you immerse yourself into your gameplay. And I really think that Guild Wars 2 has nailed all 4 aspects of these into their cosmetic system. I wanted to just say thanks so much for watching and thanks for so much support that I've been experiencing. I didn't want to do another guide video with the new update patch just approaching. I feel like it might be a bit redundant. But as soon as the dust has settled and as soon as I know what's going on, I'll get back to making some really good guides. Have a good one. For more on this build and others just like it, catch me streaming on Twitch. Stop by anytime and hang out. If you found this helpful, please subscribe and share with some friends. It will really help grow the channel.